What if the person you fear most is the one who offered to help you search? For 42 p.m., the day Jamie vanished, the sky split open as school let out. A heavy drizzle misted the cracked sidewalks. Jamie pulled his hood up, the blue of his raincoat almost too bright against the gloom. He didn't run. He never ran. He liked to walk slow, count cars, wave at the Henderson's golden retriever. He did that today. He waved. The dog barked twice, tail wagging. Then he knelt by the curb, squinting at something shiny in the gutter. A quarter. Clean. Gleaming. Perfect. Jamie's fingers closed around it. Then he looked up, eyes widening. Someone had called his name, and that was the last time anyone saw him. Now, present day. Diane stands frozen in Jamie's doorway. Her hand hovers just above the bedspread, like touching it might collapse her. The dinosaur pajamas are still there, wrinkled, half-stuffed under the pillow, like Jamie had just bounced out of them. The room still smells like him, that weird blend of cocoa cereal, old books, and shampoo. She whispers his name, not loud, just enough to let the silence hear it. Her lips tremble, her eyes sting, but it's the sound that unravels her. A creak. From the hallway, she spins, but no one's there. It's been 13 days, 13 nights since her son didn't come home, since the police knocked, since the whispers started. And yet, at 3:17 a.m. every night, she wakes to the same sound. A voice, low, cracked, terrified. Mom! Across the street, Mr. Lowell trims his rose bushes again. He trims them every afternoon. But today, the blades move slower. His hands shake. He's wearing the same tan jacket he always wears, but there's a new dirt stain on the sleeve. When the officers came by, he smiled too quickly, said he was in the garage all afternoon, fixing an old engine. Said it twice, then again like it mattered. Rivera noticed. At the station, Detective Rivera hasn't slept. Her eyes are red. Her desk is a mess of coffee cups and evidence slips. But her attention is locked on one thing, the quarter. It doesn't fit. It's too clean. There's no grit, no rain marks, no fingerprints. Coins don't just sit untouched in storm drains. Not on rainy afternoons. Not outside schools. Not unless someone put it there. She flips it in the light. It gleams like a lie. Back at the house, Diane walks into the kitchen. There's a new casserole on the counter. Another neighbor. Another pity drop-off. She doesn't touch it. Instead, she stares at the answering machine. There's a message, left just after midnight. A whisper, a rustle, a click. Then, a child's voice, breathy, almost like he's running. I picked it up, the quarter, but it wasn't just a quarter. Then static, then silence. Diane drops the phone. Her knees give out. Outside, thunder rolls. And down the street, Mr. Lowell's garage door creaks open, just wide enough for the storm to crawl in. Inside, beneath the workbench, folded neatly between dust and darkness, is a blue raincoat. Waiting. What happens when a mother's grief becomes the biggest clue? She says she hears him. Every night. She says he's not gone. But the police are starting to wonder, is she mourning her son or protecting someone else? 3:17 a.m., 13 nights since Jamie disappeared. Diane jolts awake. Again, her heart already racing before her eyes open. The room is dark, except for the hallway light she always leaves on now. She doesn't know why she checks his room. She tells herself it's just to make sure. But every night, her bare feet pad across the hallway. Every night, she turns the doorknob so slowly it barely clicks. And every night, she finds what she fears most. Nothing has changed. The bed is still untouched. The pajamas still folded. The toothbrush still in the cup. And Jamie is still gone. But tonight, she hears something. A soft creak from the vent. Then a whisper. One word. Mom. Her throat tightens. She rushes forward, rips open the closet door. Empty. She drops to her knees, palms on the floor. The vent cover is screwed shut. Still, she whispers back. Jamie? 2 hours later, the detectives return. This time not with condolences, but questions. They want to know about the voicemail, the voice that sounded like Jamie. They want to know why she didn't report it immediately. Her hands tremble as she pours herself coffee she won't drink. She says she was scared, that she didn't want to believe it was real, or worse, wanted too badly for it to be. But Rivera watches the cup, not her words. She notices Diane's hands aren't just shaking. They're bandaged, fresh cuts, jagged, fingernails broken, like she'd been digging. 7 days earlier, unreleased surveillance footage. Jamie's last known moment was supposed to be near the school, walking home. But a new angle, pulled from a nearby storefront, shows something different. He's not walking alone. He's talking to someone. The figure is obscured. Rain, hooded jacket, gloved hands. But Jamie's posture changes. He hesitates, looks unsure, then nods, and walks away from the school. The wrong direction. Back in the house, present day. Rivera asks again, "Did Jamie ever talk about someone? Anyone new?" Diane's voice cracks. "There was a man, a neighbor. He gave him lemonade once." "Mr. Lowell?" She nods, swallows hard. "He said he was nice. Jamie said he liked his dog." "Mr. Lowell doesn't have a dog," Rivera says quietly. Later that night, Diane opens Jamie's drawer. Tucked beneath his sketchbook is a folded sheet of paper. A list, just 3 things. Quarter, blue raincoat, the man who watches the house. Her breath catches, because there's one thing Diane hasn't told the detectives. One thing she hasn't told anyone. The night before Jamie vanished, she saw someone too, standing at the edge of the yard, not moving, just watching. And when she opened the curtain a second time, he was gone. Rivera receives a message from forensics. The voicemail, the child's voice, it wasn't Jamie. It was someone mimicking him, someone who knew his speech patterns, his pauses, his fear. And the call came from inside the neighborhood, from a house that hadn't been searched yet. Not all monsters wear masks, some wear memories. And Diane is starting to remember what she tried to forget. How does a child's quarter become a map to something buried? It was supposed to be nothing, just spare change by the curb. But the more they looked at it, the more it looked placed. Too clean, too new, too intentional. And now, this single coin may be the only thing that knows where Jamie went. Day 14, Forensics Lab, 9:27 a.m. Detective Rivera stares through the glass as the technician holds the quarter under UV light. It flashes not just from the shine, but from the residue. A smudge, partial, chemical, glue. Glue, Rivera repeats, frowning. The tech nods. Whatever this quarter touched, it was fixed to something, or something was fixed to it. Day of disappearance, timeline reconstruction. The surveillance footage is slowed. Frame by frame, Jamie kneels, picks up the coin, but something's off. He hesitates, flips the quarter between his fingers, looks confused. Then he looks behind him and smiles. Not scared, not nervous, familiar. Whoever called his name, he knew them. Rivera's office evidence board. 3 photos of the quarter. 2 printouts of Jamie's route. 1 newly pinned lead. A dollar store receipt. Found in Mr. Lowell's trash. Dated 2 days before Jamie disappeared. Glue. A roll of duct tape. Disposable gloves. Lemonade packets. He claimed he hadn't left the house that day, but the receipt proves otherwise. Jamie's elementary school, janitor's closet. A janitor, quiet, older, worked there for years, remembers something strange. Not about Jamie, about a man. Said he was there to fix a water pipe. Said he was with maintenance, but maintenance had no record. And the description? Gloves, jacket, limp in the left leg. Rivera's eyes narrow. Mr. Lowell walks with a cane. Back at the house, Diane's kitchen, 2:04 p.m. She's washing dishes she doesn't need. The water's been running too long. The suds have turned cold. She stares through the window, at the garden across the street, at Mr. Lowell, still trimming his roses, still every day, same time. But today he stops, looks up, and waves. Her stomach turns. She drops the glass. It shatters across the sink. Audio transcript, forensic enhancement of voicemail. They run the whisper through filters, stretch and isolate frequencies. Underneath Jamie's voice, another sound, barely audible, a metallic clink, like a quarter landing in a tray, followed by scraping, like something being moved, dragged. 3:17 a.m., Diane's hallway. She started recording the sound. Her phone is propped up on the dresser. Tonight, the whisper comes again. Mom! But this time, another voice overlaps. A man's voice. Hoarse. Almost angry. Don't move. She bolts upright. But the hallway is still. Still and cold and wrong. She replays the recording. Nothing. Only static. Rivera's journal, case notes. The quarter doesn't belong in the storm drain. Too clean. Too staged. No prints except Jamie's. But under UV light, faint markings on the edge. A scratched letter. L. Not from minting. Someone engraved it. Deliberately, Rivera leans back in her chair. There's only one L that matters on her suspect list. Lowell. Rivera's car, parked outside Mr. Lowell's garage. She watches as he opens the garage, watches him disappear into the shadows inside. She rolls down her window. The air smells off, like damp earth and gasoline. She starts to get out, but then freezes. Something moves in the garage. Not Mr. Lowell. Something smaller. Something hunched. She opens the door, steps out. Then it stops. Silence. The garage light clicks off. And in the darkness, something metal rolls across the floor. A quarter. Spinning. Still clean. Still waiting to be found again. What if the man everyone trusted never left the neighborhood? He waved at the kids, fixed broken porch lights. He was always there, watching, helping. But now the question is no longer, where's Jamie? It's, what's inside Mr. Lowell's garage? Day 15 to 7:41 a.m. Police interview room 3. Mr. Lowell sits across from Rivera. Hands folded. Eyes calm. Too calm. He's wearing a flannel shirt. Smells faintly of engine oil and antiseptic. His left hand trembles slightly. He notices the detective watching it. Smiles. Old injury, he says. Nerves. Rivera doesn't smile back. She lays the photo of the quarter on the table. Then the receipt. Then the time-stamped surveillance frame. Would you like to adjust your statement now? She asks softly. He looks at the items. One by one. His voice doesn't waver. I already told you. I was home that day. All afternoon. Rivera leans forward. And yet someone matching your exact build and gait was seen behind Jamie's school. Carrying a toolbox. Wearing gloves. Limping on the left. He exhales through his nose. Coincidence. Back at Diane's home, 8:13 a.m. Diane watches the morning news with the sound off. They're showing Jamie's photo again. The same one. Him smiling with a popsicle in hand. The blue around his mouth now feels like bruising. She whispers to herself. He was just walking home. She keeps saying it. Because the alternative, the silence, the dark, is unbearable. A knock at the door makes her jump. It's Rivera. She doesn't come in. Just passes Diane a small plastic bag. Inside, Jamie's drawing. Crumpled. Stained. Found inside Mr. Lowell's garbage bin. Behind a tarp. Jamie had drawn a house. Their house. And standing next to it, a tall figure with no face. Above the drawing, Jamie had written in red crayon. He watches us. Interview room, 10:37 a.m. Mr. Lowell's tone starts to crack. Not fear. Control. He was just a curious boy, he mutters. He asked too many questions. He always walked too close to the garage. Rivera stiffens. What garage? He doesn't answer. She leans forward again. Your garage? The one where forensics found disturbed soil under the tool rack. His jaw tightens. A beat. Then a quiet chuckle. You don't have anything. Rivera's voice memo, 12:09 p.m. No sign of Jamie's body yet. No blood. No prints. But we have the glue. the quarter, the lemonade, the surveillance, the lie, and now, a motive. She flips through old community reports. 6 years ago, a complaint was filed against Mr. Lowell. Unsubstantiated. Dropped. By a mother. Different child. Same street. She writes it on the board. Pattern. Diane's bathroom, 1:42 p.m. She scrubs her hands raw. Her eyes are red. She opens the medicine cabinet. Closes it again. Then she does something strange. She walks to the garage. Hers. She opens a cardboard box she hasn't touched in years. Inside, old photo albums. Jamie's baby shoes. A folded blanket. And underneath that, a small spiral notebook. Jamie's diary. She hadn't even known he kept one. Notebook entry excerpt. 3 days before disappearance. Mom keeps saying not to talk to strangers. But he's not a stranger. He gave me lemonade. Said he knew my dad. Diane's hands shake. Jamie never knew his dad. But Mr. Lowell did. They grew up in the same county. They went to school together. But she never told Jamie that. So how did he know? Surveillance review, 3:03 p.m. Rivera gets another clip. Traffic cam. 2 blocks from the school. A blue raincoat, barely visible in the rain, crosses the intersection. Trailing behind is a man. There's no face visible. But the cane is. The limp. The speed. Jamie walks just ahead. Never once looking back. As if he didn't think he had to. Garage that night. Police return. Warrant in hand. This time they dig deeper. The soil is softer beneath the workbench. New. Recently turned. They start to remove it. Inch by inch. Foot by foot. And then, plastic bag. Torn. Inside. Fabric. A jacket. Blue. Rivera kneels. Touches it. Still damp. Not from rain. But from something colder. And stitched inside the collar, in faded marker. Jamie, room 104. Have you ever looked back at a photo and wondered, how didn't we see it? The missing shoelace. The dog that wouldn't stop barking. The way her hand rested protectively over his shoulder, as if she knew she might not get another chance. It's been 18 days, and the backyard still smells like cut grass and confusion. Diane stands in the same place her son was last seen, between the sagging trampoline and the fading blue swing. She's barefoot. The soil is cold, damp. There's a muddy spot where Jamie used to dig for bugs. Now it's roped off with yellow tape. A place of laughter, now a place of dread. The neighbors used to wave from over the fence. Now they watch her through blinds. Silent, suspicious, as if grief has a scent, and she reeks of it. At 2:46 p.m. on the day Jamie vanished, a security camera across the street captured something new. Not a face, not a scream, but a flicker. A shape moving past the garden shed in the far corner of the yard. A shadow, too small to be an adult, too fast to be a lie. It moves, then vanishes. Frame by frame, investigators slow it down. Was it Jamie running? Or being chased? Detective Rivera's heart sinks when she notices the timestamp. The police weren't even notified for another 90 minutes. So who knew, before anyone else, that he was already gone? And then came the letter. Folded. No envelope. Left at Diane's doorstep during a rainstorm. The ink smudged. The paper soft and limp with moisture. But the words? Sharp enough to cut bone. Check the fence line. He dropped something. She called Rivera. They combed the area for hours, nothing. Then, just as the sun dipped behind the clouds, Rivera stepped on something soft. She bent down. A sock. Tiny. Blue. Faded with cartoon dinosaurs. Jamie's sock. Still warm from the sun, but buried under 2 inches of freshly packed earth. As if someone wanted it to be found. Just not too soon. The scent hit next. 2 days later, a neighbor, Margaret, 3rd house down, reported an odd, sour smell, wafting near the back alley behind the fences. By the time the cadaver dogs arrived, the rain had washed most of the clues away. But the dogs stopped. They always stop where it hurts the most. Why was the backyard screaming this whole time, and no one heard it? Why did it take this long for them to listen to what it had to say? Rivera knows now. This wasn't random. It wasn't fast. This was planned. Rehearsed. Someone knew Jamie's routine. Knew he liked to wander the back fence. Knew Diane always let him play 10 minutes longer on Thursdays. Because Thursdays were her double shift days. Because she always left a little later. Because Jamie always stayed out a little longer. Right where the cameras didn't reach. And somewhere along that fence, that trust cracked. And someone reached in and took him. The backyard is empty now. The toys are gone. The grass is overgrown. But sometimes, around 2:46 p.m., the neighborhood goes silent, like it's holding its breath, waiting for a boy in a blue raincoat who never comes home. Because even the safest places carry echoes, and Jamie's scream is still trapped in the soil. A 7-year-old boy does not just vanish from his own backyard. Not with his backpack still zipped, his bike still chained, and his cereal bowl half full on the kitchen counter. Jamie didn't run away. He didn't walk out. Something pulled him. And now every second is echoing the question. Why didn't we see it? The swing moved for days after. Just slightly side to side. No wind. No birds. No reason. Like something unfinished was still there, trying to return. But Jamie's shoes were still by the door. His favorite red hoodie still hung on the coat rack. He didn't leave in a hurry. He didn't plan it. Someone did it for him. Detective Rivera found herself retracing every step. Again and again. From the gate to the hedge, back to the porch, into the kitchen. The layout of the backyard wasn't complicated. But the mystery had become a maze. The bike was the hardest part. It leaned against the wall. Locked. Rusty. It hadn't moved in days. Jamie loved that bike. It was the last gift from his dad, before the deployment, before the silence, before the folded flag came back instead. That bike was Jamie's freedom. If he'd left, he would have taken it. But the lock was the message. The key to the lock was on Jamie's lanyard, still hanging from the hook by the back door. Unmoved. Undisturbed. Rivera turned to Diane that morning with a whisper that broke like glass. He didn't leave. He was taken. And Diane, who hadn't slept in days, collapsed in her arms. Not because she didn't know, but because someone had finally said it out loud. There was something else. A neighbor, quiet, older kind, came forward. Mr. Adler. He said he didn't want to speak up at first because he didn't want to be wrong. But what he saw that Thursday afternoon haunted him. I saw a white van, parked at the alley curb. No logo, just sat there. Lights off, engine running. For almost 15 minutes. Rivera paused. You sure it was that day? Yes, it was garbage day. I remember because I was yelling at my wife for leaving the bins too close to the fence. Garbage day. The same day Jamie disappeared. The same alley behind the backyard. So why didn't anyone report the van sooner? Because no one wants to be the paranoid neighbor. Because everyone tells themselves, I'm sure it's nothing. I'm sure he's fine. I'm sure I'm just overreacting. But when children disappear, overreacting is the only thing that saves lives. Then came the worst discovery of all. Rivera obtained a search warrant for footage from an old gas station 3 blocks away. The camera was grainy, black and white, low angle. But there it was. A white van, turning left at 2:51 p.m. A figure in the passenger seat. Small, still, limp. They zoomed in. You could barely make out the sleeve of a red hoodie, and a cartoon dinosaur sock, just like the one buried under the fence. Diane screamed when they showed her the footage, not because she didn't believe it, but because a mother knows her child's silhouette, even in shadows, even in motion blur, even on a screen that was never meant to show something so tragic. So now what? No license plate, no facial ID. No witnesses who caught a clear look. Just a van. A blur. A child taken before snack time. And a mother. Alone in a house filled with toys and no laughter. This wasn't random. It was rehearsed. Predatory. Cruel. And yet, the swing still moves. Like Jamie's spirit hasn't left. Like something deep inside this place still knows the truth, but can't speak. Because kids don't just vanish. People make them disappear. And those people, They always leave behind something. A lock, a van, a silence that screams louder than anything. Every mother has a voice only her child can hear. But what happens when the world silences her before her child is ever found? 18 days after Jamie disappeared, Diane's voice was no longer calm. It cracked with every syllable, hoarse from screaming into a silence that never once screamed back. She begged them again and again, "Please, search the drainage ditch. Behind the school. That's where he always throws rocks." They told her they'd get to it, that it was low priority, that kids don't run toward danger. But Jamie didn't run. He was led. On the morning of day 19, Diane didn't wait. She walked barefoot, no jacket, no sleep, through weeds and broken glass, behind the rusted fence, past the spot where the neighborhood kids once built a fort from cardboard and duct tape. And then she saw it, a scrap of blue, tangled in brush, half covered in leaves, a raincoat, torn, stained. Diane didn't scream. She just collapsed, because a mother knows her child's scent, even in the mud. The investigators rushed in. The ditch was cordoned off, but it was already too late. Inside the overgrown culvert, hidden beneath a large, flat stone, they found what they thought they'd never find. Shoes, plastic lunchbox, a drawing creased soggy, but still clear, a boy holding hands with a woman in a red dress. A forensic team arrived within the hour. So did the press. So did the apologies. Detective Rivera couldn't meet Diane's eyes. Because it wasn't just the loss. It was the delay, the disbelief, the doubt. She had screamed where to search, and they waited until her grief did the digging. The truth unraveled like twine. A 34-year-old man, once a school janitor, was arrested 3 days later. He lived 2 blocks away. No record, no suspicion, just quiet. But the evidence was everywhere on Jamie's drawings. On the inside of the lunchbox, under his nails. The man confessed but never showed remorse. "He liked to play," he said. "I just wanted company." He never said sorry. He never said why. And the court said he'd never leave prison alive. At the memorial, they released 7 blue balloons. 1 for each year Jamie lived. They floated high, then vanished into the overcast sky. No sunlight, no wind, just silence. But Diane looked up, and for the first time in 19 days, her voice didn't shake. "You heard me, Jamie. I know you did. You always heard me first. Let this be the last time a mother's voice is silenced. Let this be the last time they call it paranoia before they call it evidence. Let Jamie's name not be another file in a box, but a warning carved into every unsolved case. Listen to the ones who scream first. Subscribe to the Veil of Secret, where the truth is not just uncovered, it's felt. Because behind every headline, there's a scream still waiting to be heard.